On today's show, we see how Jodi's relationships are just like being in a battle. We also see her rejecting her trance channeling gift and why. But we close with a really beautiful dream from Tanya that shows just how precious tears are when in therapy. I really love that last dream. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, everybody.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and you, because that's what we do. We help you on your journey by looking at the message from your higher self to you, to your soul, that is saying, you know what? This is what you're doing well, and this is what you need to change in order to get back into alignment with why you came here. That's what your dreams are all about. But here's something. If you enjoy endless puzzling over what you're meant to do in life, jumping from course to course, piling up the books and certificates, but still feeling unfulfilled, the Ashling Summit is not for you. What is that? That's our weekend event, totally free, 3 days from October 11th to 13th. If you attend that, it will strip away your confusion, leaving you with clarity. Clarity. Who wants that? Is success really earned when you get there quickly? What are you going to do with all the free time saved, huh? Spend hours and hours with loved ones? Get sunburned on vacation? Avoid these outcomes. Don't sign up for the Ashling Dream Interpretation Summit. Maybe you sometimes think there is nothing to all of this spiritual stuff. That will be robbed too. The Ashling Summit shows the clear answers given in your dreams, the proof that the spirit world is real and talking to you. Yes, you. Gone will be the roller coaster of questioning your sanity. The Ashling Summit swaps that for excitement at finally knowing the truth. Excitement raises your heart rate and fills you with energy. Then you have to do something to burn up that energy. You'll probably even want to share excitement with friends, thus impacting other lives. Can you live with the consequence? You won't be able to shout at God either. No, it's just great to be able to vent and shake your fist at the sky and righteously blame God for ignoring you. You know he is. He knows he is. And that's the type of relationship you're accustomed to. Well, the Ashling Summit wrecks that relationship. When you know how God speaks to you directly, you lose the ability to be frustrated with him. Who wants that? If you love your life exactly the way it is, if you love blaming the universe or God for your misfortune, if you dread the idea of being empowered and responsible for your own life, don't sign up for the Ashling Summit. It's just not worth it. Warn others. What if close friends accidentally register? Could you live with the guilt of knowing that you could have saved them from these same outcomes? Tell them so they know to avoid it. The Ashling Dream Interpretation Summit, October 11th to 13th. And you can get there through dream-analysis.com/free. Of course, I want you to come. Sandy.
I absolutely love that. I was having such a hard time not laughing out loud. I love how you put it in perspective. You won't take any courses anymore that you no longer need. You will get clarity on your life. You'll understand what your dreams are trying to tell you. You'll understand your spiritual gifts. You'll get to know what they are. And then if you choose to pursue learning more, you can. Yeah, I loved it. That was hilarious, Michael. Very good. Very good.
Well, let's do some dreams.
All right. But I want one more time. It is this upcoming weekend, and we are getting excited about it. And it starts Friday, midday for us, for the people in Europe. And then we do the same show in the evening for the people in the US and Australia. And then on Saturday, we have the same times that we've run it before. So I know there'll be...
It's 8:30 a.m. till 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, roughly.
Yeah. And I know people will be able to come and go. Everything's recorded, and people will have the opportunities to get the recordings. It's going to be a phenomenal event, and we're always changing it. Even though some of the content will look familiar, you're going to learn more. There's always more to learn, but we're changing things up, and I love that. Anyways, Michael, okay, I will finally get into dreams. I'm excited about these dreams. All righty. Our first dream today is called Anne's Show, and is from Jodi. I was in a huge auditorium for one of Anne's show. I was seated on the center stage with some others but not many, less than 10. I thought it was weird, but didn't think too much of it because, after all, I could hear everyone well. I was listening to a boy, maybe middle school age, tell his story. At this exact moment, I realized we were all up there to give a testimony on using Anne's program. I immediately waved a young Black woman who had a headset on her head over to me. She was a crew member working on the set for Anne. I told her that I wasn't asked or told this information prior to coming, so I had nothing prepared, and I didn't feel comfortable doing this because of that. She went off to speak to one of the others, and during this time, I began thinking about what I would even say. I started to feel like I didn't want to give all the credit to Anne, anyways, because it didn't all belong to her. I had done so much before ever seeing her. Alrighty, Michael, this is a long dream, so we're going to take little breaks so you can tell us what some of the stuff means. Let's hear.
Okay, so many people listening will know that Anne is a trance channel, and that's what she symbolizes to this particular dreamer. So she has the gift of trance channeling. She also has the gift of hearing her guides. That's why we see the woman with the headset and her references to hearing and hearing clearly. But then we see that she doesn't want to give Anne the credit. And in her mind, this is justified. So it's not about Anne. None of this dream is about Anne. Anne symbolizes the dreamer's ability to channel. And her not wanting to give the credit to Anne is her not wanting to give credit to the fact that she has a channeling ability that is really comparable to Anne's. That's how it works. That's how it always works in a dream. And so she's in the dream, she's saying, I'm not going to give testimony to this. And I wasn't prepared and all these various different things. We can be pretty sure that she's going to get into trance channeling. She's going to do these things in her life. Everything's going to work out fine. But this is just where she's at. So if you have questions, fine. Otherwise, next piece.
Well, I like the center stage. Is that meaning she is also going to be on a stage doing channeling for others?
Absolutely. This woman is absolutely amazing, in fact. Very, very high level. And she's already in the right place, right? Everything's set up for her. So really the dream is saying, look, this is what you want. We want you to do, Jodi. But she's not happy with it. And she's like, they take her off the stage. And then she's kind of upset with that too. But this is really what she should be doing. Center stage, this is it. And she says that there was a boy, she said maybe middle school age. So there's going to be something that happened to her around middle school age that caused her to disregard this gift or look at it negatively. And she even says, I could hear everyone well and was listening to a boy from middle school. So up until that point, we know her channeling gift was working. And she's saying it was working by the fact that she's saying I could hear well. And then we're going to see that change as the dream goes on, which is part of the reason why she has this issue.
Ah, very good. Okay, next part. Someone started to panic about the dog coming on stage, and I assured everyone it was fine because he is mine. The actual dog was on the other side of the stage looking a little timid, and I called him to me.
So
Michael.
She actually says my actual dog, not the actual dog. So this is, I had to channel on this symbol for her because it's specific to her. So dogs in her dream represent being comfortable being yourself. Now that's not a stretch from what dogs can actually mean in dreams, but it is what it means for her. And so here when we see the panic and the dog coming in, it's like, hey, please stop panicking. We want you to be comfortable. This is who you are. You are a channel. Be comfortable, etc., over and over and over and over again. But that's not the space she's in.
No, she's a little timid. All righty, next part. The young Black woman, two of them, went to speak to the head honcho about me, who was taller, thin, white woman. This woman gave bad vibes, privileged, and was all about herself. I remember a young Black man pushing stairs close to the stage and asking me if they were close enough for me to get onto them to come off the stage. I told him it was fine and climbed down. I walked among many people to find the woman talking about me now being seated here. They were standing next to the speaker, so it was difficult to hear them because it was so loud. I began to talk to myself, saying, what an awful place to sit me. all because I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. The loudspeaker could have been directly behind my head, and I thought that was bogus.
All right. So the loudspeaker was directly behind her. So she has the gift of hearing her guides, but her clairaudient channel is broken. She's difficulty with that. And you know, what's funny is we teach people to channel all the time, hundreds every year. And clairaudience is often the gift that we see that gets damaged. It's a really crystal clear gift. If you've got clairaudience, it's like somebody's telling you something in your ear. It might feel like a thought. It might not feel like clairaudience to you, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But you can say, well, no, this is clearly what my guides are saying. I'm not having to intuit this or anything like that or work it out from a symbol. This is what they're saying. But it is the gift that we see most often when people sign up for our courses that is damaged and needs some work done to fix it, which we're always able to do. We're always able to fix it. But we see it emphasized strongly here. She's not happy she's been taken off stage. She's not happy that the woman feels privileged and she's getting bad vibes from her and all that. So this is all about her gift. She has to fix the idea that there is a discrepancy between her and the other people and what they represent. So the other woman is a person in authority, and it's like I'm now here. I've been sat here, and I don't like it. I can't clearly hear these women who are talking about me. So this is saying I can't clearly hear my clairaudient gift, and I'm so close to the speaker. It's a terrible place anyway. So again, the speaker, a disembodied voice in a dream, is your guides. So sitting at the speaker is actually the best spot to have. So they've taken her off the stage. So, okay, don't give testimony to Anne, but we're going to put you here because you're still clairaudient and you're still meant to hear your guides, and this is how it is. And she's still finding fault with that. Anyway, it's just kind of funny in how it is, but it's also sad because it shows there's major issues that need to be resolved.
Mm-hmm. All right, the last part of the dream. Somehow I was back on stage off to the side where I originally saw my dog. I saw a French bulldog. I couldn't remember if he were mine, but I knew I had two dogs. I started talking to a man next to some stairs at the edge of the stage who said that the dog wasn't mine. I couldn't figure out why I didn't know what my own dog, Frankie, looked like. I set off to look for him. Somehow, I was on the top floor of the building, walking quickly through the levels and looking out the windows as I walked when I saw Frankie in a prairie, far off in the distance, sitting in the grass. I was going to get him.
So basically, the dream says, because of the dogs, I feel comfortable in my body, but I feel lost and isolated because her dog is lost and she's trying to find the dog. Like, that isn't my dog. And she loves her dogs. So that's how she feels in life, lost and isolated. But she is comfortable with who she is. And her gift requires her to be comfortable. And she actually channels archangels on the other side of her connection. And I don't think I've ever seen that before. I mean, I've seen plenty of people who are trance channels and can channel high-level angels and sometimes will bring archangels in, but they're not their regular go-to. It's just amazing when they come in. So it's a testament to where she's at. We see the French bulldog and then somebody saying it's not hers. That's a reference to France in a dream is typically sexual liberation. And, you know, so it's about being comfortable with who you are, comfortable in expressing yourself at the deepest core level of who you are, let's say, because our gender is at the very core of who we are. But anyway, but the guy says that's not you. So we see some negative influence put on her in relationships because of that reference in the dream. But then she does see her dog far off. So unfortunately, not right there, but she's going to go find him, which is really what it's about. Get to the point where you're feeling comfortable, and then you can just sit on the stage and do what you're asked to do or what you came here to do. Saying asked to do is probably the wrong way to do it. But it is a requirement. It is your karma.
Wow, that's really an amazing dream. I enjoyed seeing the symbols for the trance channel and the clairaudient. That's awesome. Alrighty, Michael, we're going to move on to the next one. Before I do, though, what's the prairie? Far off in a distance, sitting in the grass.
So it's healing, you know. So I have to go through this stage of healing because any open space is healing for the heart. So it's healing for the heart. And we have the negative women in the dream, and her negative attitude towards those women. We don't see Anne being negative in the dream, but she doesn't like the fact. It's like, hey, Anne didn't help me with all the things I need to do. Why should she get the credit, and so on and so on. So we see somebody in a position of authority has abused their position. We know it's going to be mom because it's women that are doing it in the dream. And we see helpful men, like the guy is helping her get off the stage and all that sort of stuff. We do see a little bit of negative with the man at the side of the stage. He says, that's not your dog, so it's like, that's going to be, when it comes to relationships, the guy is calling the shots. And that's an issue that we see at the end, but it's not a big issue all the way through the dream, whereas the women are. So when we see the prairie, and that's a feminine energy symbol, and it's super open, and that's what feminine energy is about, not putting up restrictions, not putting up walls or barriers and all that sort of stuff, letting people be who they are and expanding infinitely, really. That's feminine energy. So the prairie is really good for that because it's also green.
That's so cool. All righty, thanks. Now we're moving on. The next one is titled Going to Battle, and this is from Mary. I was on a spacecraft with several other people. We were supposed to be docking onto a spacecraft, but suddenly we were pulled way across space and attached to another. This particular one felt foreign and uncertain, and because it did something to force us to come towards it instead of where we were going, we kind of crashed into it, but still docked. There was supposed to be something about the inability to breathe, but I tested it, and at least I could breathe just fine. We had a large dog on board, and I made sure it was okay to unhook him so he could leave the craft with us. When we stepped out onto the other craft, there was a dog and a cat sleeping right inside the door, and it seemed strange. I was looking at them to see if they were alive, but I think they were just in a deep sleep. There was just something that caught my attention about them. It felt like we knew we had to go to battle when we left the craft. That's interesting, Michael.
Okay.
Spacecrafts.
So despite the name change, it's actually the same dreamer. And I thought the topic would change enormously, and it would, but I mentioned about, what the French bulldog in the other dream meant. So this dream is about that particular issue, and it's all about relationships. And so there's some things that kind of give that away straight away. Hooking up with somebody, that's what the whole thing is about. I'm going to hook up with this person, and it's like, whoa, I thought it was going to be nice, and I end up getting pulled in this direction, and this hooking up is kind of forced on me. So this tells us that her relationships are not pleasant. They haven't been pleasant. But one of the things that gives it away as a relationship is we see the cat and dog. So we see the dog, same thing as before. And I love that she unhooks the dog to free the dog, because that's really what that's about, healing issues in her own relationship. But the cat and dog, they're incompatible animals. So it's saying that when it comes to relationships, my partners, we have always been incompatible. And so I asked her about that because of the title, Going to Battle. I said, have relationships for you always being a kind of be prepared for battle? And she said, yeah, absolutely. From the word go, huge sense of incompatibility all the time. And I liked the dream for the show because it is so clear in what it's saying and also so horrible about what's going on in her life.
I'm trying to figure out how you got us about relationship. The only thing that gives me a clue is the unhook the dog.
Well, the cat and the dog as well.
Okay.
And the hooking up, the docking, docking with somebody
yes.
else is about having sex with somebody else. And this is kind of being forced on me. Like I'm in a relationship and this guy is saying, hey, if you want to stay in the relationship, we have to have sex or whatever. So maybe I'm being too subtle here.
I think you are.
And she's at the point where so everything is about relationships. So she says, I feel like I can't breathe. There's something about the inability to breathe. But okay, I can breathe. So she puts up with this kind of torture in relationships, and she doesn't have to.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, because she was going to dock with one spaceship, and then she gets pulled across and attached to another.
It's the same guy, but it's like, oh, this is good. I finally found a guy who's decent. And then we get to that point of being intimate in the relationship. And then I'm like, oh my God, who is this? I have no idea what I've gotten myself into. Not what I expected at all.
Wow, that's very interesting. I'm really surprised how much you get out of a dream. All righty, let's move on to the next one because that one's kind of sad. At least the dream shows it, right?
It
Gives her a
does. And
point.
she's working on herself. So that's good. We want to see these things come up, anything at all in a dream. We want it to come up because when you're working on yourself, then those issues are going to get the light of day and healed.
Fabulous. All righty, the next one, I like the title, Sparkly Tears from Tanya. A young, heavy-set, dark-skinned woman is sitting in a plush sofa seat, crying softly. My attention is drawn to the sparkly tears like diamonds trailing down her right cheek. I stand over her right shoulder, providing silent comfort as a large man, a therapist slash counselor, stands to her left and talks to her compassionately, saying, "You are a gifted singer. You are meant to use your voice. There are 5 ways for you to do this." A pen or pencil and paper appears in his hand, and he starts writing down the 5 ways while he explains them to her. That's pretty cool, Michael.
It's a nice dream.
It's,
It's a different person.
yeah,
And this person is working on issues to do with birth. And so we want to see the tears. We want to see release of emotion, of negative emotion. And here's the thing that is always true when you take a healing journey. You have to get past issues of anger. And so if you're working around issues around your mom, let's say, and you have to get angry at the way she treated you in childhood. A lot of people have a block with that. They're like, well, she did the best she could. I don't want to get angry. I feel guilty about this. I feel guilty about even blaming her for anything. And that's understandable, but it's also wrong. You know, so in this person's case, mom was the type that, here's how it works with a child. It's Friday. So this would be like mom saying this to you. It's Friday. It's time for your spanking. Go get me a stick. And you go do it. And then it's done every single Friday. And then Friday comes and she's not hitting you. And you're like, oh, there's something wrong. Mom missed this. And you remind her that she needs to do it. And eventually you beat yourself up because mom doesn't need to do it anymore. You've been trained so well by mom to do it. And then you go into therapy years later and you're like, I feel guilty blaming mom. But you've only feel guilty blaming mom because you've been trained. And I'll find a dream for next week that shows this in great detail. How mom's treatment of me in childhood causes all my issues, but also makes me feel like I'm stuck with this issue. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm working on mom would actually be the wrong thing to do. Like I feel guilty about it and so on and so on. And so what happens is we have these blocks within ourselves that we have to push past. And then when we eventually push past them, we get to this beautiful state of crying softly. And that's about crying in reality. Like we hit the point and you're really crying the tears that you weren't able to cry in childhood because you knew nobody cared. And you hit that point, like, so we're sad, we're very sad. And then we start getting angry. And then we use the anger as a strong force to never be sad again. Like, I'm not going to let myself get sad. I'm not going to let people get close to me. And I'm just going to resent the world and resent this. And that's how we end up. And so when we're working with people, we have to undo all of that training and get it back to where it's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share how you feel. It's okay to be yourself. And when you get there, that's when the wall around your heart is gone. And that's really where the work is. So anyway, she's there. And look at the tears are like diamonds. That's how precious it is to get to this point of being able to cry. And then we have a lot of positives. What comes now that you've got past this point of, got past the anger and expressed the sadness, we see your gifts. We see a therapist in the dream, which means you're a therapist. You're a counselor. You have this ability. You can see and help people, just like you're being helped. She says he he talked compassionately. So that means you have compassion. You have an open heart. You're able to let people be how they are without judging them. Then he says you're a gifted singer. So you're a channel. That's what that means in a dream. And it's a guide saying it. So you're a gifted singer. You're a gifted channel. And you're meant to express yourself. You're channeling through writing. How do we know it's writing? Because he says there's 5 ways to do this, and suddenly he has a pen and paper in his hands. The pen and paper tells us she's a writer. 5 tells us that it's a karmic thing for her. So this is her gift. This is her path in life. This is how you're meant to do it. You're meant to write these things. And he's saying, like, write them down. Also, because he says the pen and paper appear in her hands, we know she has a hands-on healing. So we work on the things. We work on them. I think she's on about week 8 or 9 working with us. And then we see all these beautiful things showing up. And so we see the mission of Ashling School is to reconnect people with their light. This is her light. And this is why I love doing what we do. It feels very fulfilling to do what we do because it helps launch people because we get them back to who they really are on the inside.
That was beautiful. I love the diamonds trailing down her cheek. And I like the fact that she's got 2 people there supporting her.
Absolutely. And that's
So
it. We are out of time.
Oh, I had more questions, Michael.
What have you got?
The gifted singer, using your voice, and the 5 ways. So you've got numbers, you've got singer, you've got using your voice. Are these gifts or what are these? 5 ways he's explaining things and he's writing it down.
5 is karma. I covered all of these. 5 is karma, which is your path. This is what you came here to do. You came here to do channeled writing because singing is about channeling. You came here to do channeled writing. It's part of your path and it's in your hands. You've got the capability and you need to get out there and do it. And we are now out of time. We hope you come to our event this weekend, dream-analysis.com/free. There is a $97 deposit. If you can't afford it, write to us and we will send you a code to bypass that. But the deposit is refunded. So we don't keep it. We never keep it. Just show up to the event and then you're going to get a refund of your deposit. No questions asked. You don't even need to ask for the deposit. It's going to come to you. But that's it. See you next week. Take care.
Bye, everyone.